Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Mark, do we have a special offer for our listeners?
Yeah, we'll continue to offer that 2021 half off. It gives you 50% off of any of the newsletters and for any of the time frames you specify, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or annual. So you go to VRTrader.com. That's Victor Robert. VRTrader.com is a shortcut to Leibovit VR newsletters. And when you get there and you get to an order page, there's a little spot for a promo code, and you enter 2021 half, HALF off, and you get 50% off. Thank you.
Mark, you're kind of like Baskin Robbins. You have several flavors of different newsletters for different subjects?
Yeah, we got caught into that scenario because different markets get hot. You know, a few years back we launched the cannabis newsletter because from 2014 on it looked to me like we were turning in that group, and sure enough, you know, we had big runs and up and down, but we still have the cannabis letter. I don't think cannabis is over, but it certainly had a lot of, you know, speculation for a long time in it, and now it's coming to more reasonable valuations so we see companies actually make money in that sector. We got the metal resource letter because, you know, a lot of interest in resources and gold and silver and crude oil, so that's another product. And we also have the blockchain letter to cater to the crypto market. Gives you a little blurb and insight of what's going on and some of the hot cryptos, and Bitcoin, of course, only being one of them. So we have that product as well. And just to run down the list, we got our market timing letter, which is sort of our intermediate term buy-sell for the market. And we have our annual forecast model, which is the VR Forecaster report, gives us our annual projection for the whole year for the market. And we've been doing that since 1987, believe it or not. And nothing's 100%, but last year it made two great calls in the market, the March low and the late August, early September high. And just the last few days, this thing was put out in January. It said, watch out for a little sell-off, sharp sell-off the third week of July, and sure enough, we got that last week. So that's another product, the VR Forecaster. And finally, we got the VR Platinum letter, which is our jack-of-all-trades letter. Just covers everything. Most of our subscribers like the Platinum letter, and the Silver letter is a shortened version of that. Nothing to do with Platinum or Silver. That's just sort of the names for them. So you definitely have your choices when you go to the website.
The big financial market news today was Robinhood putting out an IPO at $38. The last I saw it was trading for a little bit less than that. Is this something special or just another brokerage firm going public?
You know, I'm more of a technician, and, you know, you trade this stuff. It's like Coinbase that went public, as you know, in recent months, which was a play on the crypto market. Because they're the big purveyor of many of the cryptos. And even though crypto had come down, Coinbase, I'm changing the subject on here for a moment, but I'm trying to make a point. You know, Coinbase, you know, sort of held. I mean, it's been chopping up and down a little bit, but didn't slide precipitously like the cryptos did on the recent correction. Why? Because you're buying and selling cryptos, and that's business for Coinbase. So, you know, whether it's going up and down, much like a brokerage firm, you make money, you know, up or down markets because people are trading both long and short. So Coinbase held pretty well, considering the big sell-off we saw on Bitcoin and so forth. So here we have Robinhood come along, and, you know, it's going to be dependent, I suppose, on how many traders utilize their services. So your comment about like any other brokerage firm probably applies. except there's a perception that, all young people or the newer group of investors or traders, are sort of migrating to these new platforms. And of course, they've got a big following now, and it's hot among many of the younger investors and traders, and possibly to the detriment of the Charles Schwabs of the world or the TD Ameritrades or the others that are just the old line names. So if you're a young person getting into the business, you probably hear it's cool to have a Robinhood account or other competitors that come along. In the crypto world, you got the Coinbase and you got Uphold and you got other platforms, that you can choose from as well. So, this might do a little bit better than the other brokerage firm just because it's sort of hot and new, but it all depends on their earnings like any other company. So, we pretty much look at the charts on this stuff, and it's too early to tell. I mean, it just started to trade. It'll probably take several weeks or months until we get a real feel for the technical picture on it, but, I wouldn't jump head over heels into it so fast, but it might have a little more of an advantage than the other firms only because it's up and coming.
How's the U.S. dollar doing?
Well, it hit a little brick wall today, and it looks like it hit a little trading top. I don't think it's a big one necessarily. Everybody was bearish on the dollar, and it kept rallying, and that didn't help gold and silver for a while. And the last couple trading days, it sort of peaked out here a little bit. So that should be good for the commodities short term here in terms of just the trading comment, whatever that's worth, because obviously they work inversely. So just as a just a general comment on it, I'm just looking at the chart on it. It's sort of rolling over here and hit a little resistance on the charts. And all the technical indicators seem to have turned down a little bit. So you may get a little pullback, but it may not be the end of the rally in the dollar. I don't want to say this is over, but it hit a little trading top. So I would guess, in the next, few days or a week or two, you'll see the dollar underperform, and you'll see the resources, gold and silver, overperform. But that may just be temporary. This may be just a short-term technical play here, but for traders, I would say you're short the dollar, you're long the metals here, very, very short term, and we'll see how it plays out.
Do you look at other precious metals like palladium and platinum?
Sure do. We don't really have big, many relevant, positions in them. Platinum is, just going sideways here, for the longest time, but it looks pretty depressed to me. It's dropped, just looking at the chart here as you asked the question. I mean, it's dropped from, $1,250 or so an ounce down to about, $1,000. So, looks like it might be trying to bottom here a little bit. But of course, it had a huge move too. I mean, if you look at the weekly chart on platinum, it went from roughly $500-600 all the way up to $1,200. So you had about a double there. We're not in any positions here. I'm just looking at the chart now. It looks like it might bounce a little, but it looks like it may be more of a near-term downtrend. And of course, the bigger one of interest is the palladium, because this is the one that benefited, of course, from the electric vehicle business and the need for palladium there, and that made a huge move. Got to about $2,800 an ounce, and it was down to about $160 not too long ago. So looks a little bit better than the platinum, and looks a little trading toppy here. But you're at the top of a big move, Jim. I mean, this thing has just been rallying big for the last couple of years. So I'm sort of neutral on it here, watching it. But as I mentioned just a moment ago, I'm not really have positions. I had positions in palladium a while back when it was really running, but we just sort of got out of it, figuring it, hit a lot of resistance here. So we're just watching it.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, with inflation officially running at over 5%, will interest rates try to start to catch up and slow inflation down, or is the Fed going to continue to do trillions in reverse repos to keep interest rates down?
Well, the last comment you made appears to be what they're doing. You know, there's no rush to raise rates. It's going to happen at some point. You know, except for today and the last couple of days in trading, you know, the bond market has been rallying. Last couple of days, I would say, and you know, we had a little bit of lower rates, so you know, the bond market, you know, was sort of its worst level back in mid-May, and that's when rates, you know, really people thought that rates were going to take off big, and it just turned around, I think, because of intervention on the part of the Fed too. So they're in no rush to do it. Ultimately, I guess you're going to see higher rates, but you know, people have been talking about higher rates for several years. I mean, this is not a new discussion. I mean, I can't recall how many times in the last 4 or 5 years or longer, rates are going up, You got to be careful. You got to get caught. This and this. Bonds are the worst play in the world. Yet, you know, they pretty much stayed down, you know, for the longest period of time. So it's really a tough call. I mean, the chart said we were going to go up for a while in rates. We did, and then suddenly we bottomed in mid-May, and rates started to come down again. And it's all because of government intervention. So what you're really asking is, how long will the government manipulate this market? And they may say, well, eventually we're going to have to do it, and there's going to be some tapering coming, and then a year goes by and they still haven't done it. So we're really guessing what the Fed plans on doing, and a lot of it could be political, you know, not necessarily economic or fundamental, because a lot of fundamental people say they should have done it already and they didn't do it. And we have roaring inflation, according to the numbers many people are publishing, but yet the Fed's not doing anything about it. If you listen to Jerome Powell on Wednesday, you know, he was pretty calm. You know, he didn't sound like anything immediate was happening or not. So you could say, oh, gee, it's common sense. Rates are going to go up, and you've heard the same story for 5 years, and yet they really don't go up very much or go anywhere. So, you know, if there's an outlier event, there's war, Geo-Cosmic issues, shortages, the COVID, you know, story. I mean, you can make up all kinds of stuff. You know, there was a huge earthquake in Alaska. I read, was it today or yesterday? It could be some Geo-Cosmic stuff going on. I've been sort of predicting, now I'm not the only one, that you could see more earth changes. You know, we've had tremendous heat this summer, more potential volcanic activity, earthquake activity, you know, things that could affect the planet. I mean, there's a lot of quote-unquote outlier events out there besides COVID or besides war, all kinds of crazy things. So, you know, it could be, you know, all kinds of wild events. So that could influence where rates are going to go and what the governments are going to do about it. So, long-winded answer. You know, you just got to flow with it. But I'm not betting on rates exploding right away because they haven't, despite all the predictions.
Mark, what's going on the Geo-Cosmic front?
Gee, there's a lot of interesting things going on. You know, I follow this website called spaceweather.com. We have it on our website, and you know, people sort of scoff at that, but there's a lot of stuff going on a planetary basis, and particularly in relation to solar flares and so forth. They do impact the planet, so we keep an eye on that. And you know, people don't believe that, you know, a flare could suddenly shut down you know, electromagnetic activity on Earth, which it did in the big time, you know, back in the late mid-19th century, and you get a big flare and suddenly there is no internet. It's all fried, and the world is shut down. So stuff like that we just keep an eye on. We're always watching stuff like that. We've seen a little increase in volcanic activity. I think there was a record earthquake in the last 24 hours in Alaska, the biggest they ever had. Of course, we had the heat, record heat, the summers and fires, and all over the world, with flooding. And there's just, stuff on a global basis that, is unfolding here. So we also track, out of curiosity, the volcanic activity, and, do feel that these have impacts on the market. People at CNBC and, BNN and, CNN are not that they're talking about this kind of stuff. They think everything is only related to what the Federal Reserve is doing. But, the truth is, there are events that affect the planet, and if you get a huge solar flare, or if there's a small, polar shift of some kind here, it's all over, So we're just watching stuff, and I think there's hints of stuff happening already. I mean, just the fact we've seen some unusual activity on Earth, I think, it's sort of a warning. Commodity prices have been going higher. There have been some shortages. We saw a big surge in coffee prices, these past few weeks. So, there's, the messages are out there, and we try to keep an eye on them, and, I don't think it portends well going forward. I think there could be more of this kind of stuff, and ultimately this will affect the equity markets. It's already affected the commodity markets. So, long and short of it is, there's something rotten in Denmark going on a Geo-Cosmic basis already, and we're just, keeping an eye on it. Of course, from a financial point of view, you try to trade these things. Unless, of course, we get, one of the solar EMPs, and that shuts down all the internet on the planet, and that's a whole other discussion, of course. So any above could unfold. And, we always also watch the lunar cycles, very carefully, and we track those because over the years we find that you see changes of direction based on the various positions of the moon, quarter, new moon, and so forth. They're often tied to lows and highs within a day or two of, certain key change points in the market over the years. So, we're just not looking at what the Fed's doing.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us. And can you remind people again about the special offer?
Sure. Go to vrtrader.com, and if you pick any one of the newsletters and get to the promo code section, enter the promo code 2021 half off, and you get 50% off of any of the newsletters for whatever time frame you selected, monthly, quarterly, or annual. That's 2021 half off. Thank you.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. He was speaking to us from Arizona. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, we'll ask that question for you if you send it to info@housestreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HouseStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HouseStreet.com radio is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.